What if I told you that behind the fame, the lights, and the action roles, Keanu Reeves carries a story more powerful than any movie he's ever made? A story not about Hollywood, but about loyalty, loss, and the kind of love that never leaves your side. Tonight, you'll see Keanu as you've never seen him before, through the eyes of his most faithful companion, his dog. Stay with me, because this story will touch your heart in ways you won't forget. The apartment was silent, except for the faint hum of the city outside. Neon lights blinked across the skyline, their glow seeping through half-drawn curtains and painting soft colors across the hardwood floor. Keanu Reeves sat quietly in a worn leather armchair, shoulders relaxed, his face carrying the weight of someone who had lived through both triumph and loss. He was still, almost statuesque, the kind of stillness that doesn't come from emptiness but from peace carved out of chaos. Beside him lay his dog, a loyal companion with fur that shimmered under the scattered city glow. The animal's head rested lightly on Keanu's foot, eyes half closed yet attentive, always aware of the man's presence. It wasn't just a pet, it was family, a living reminder of trust, loyalty, and unconditional love. The dog's ears twitched now and then, reacting to distant noises. A honk, a siren, a shout in the street, but always returned to stillness, reassured simply by being close to him. Keanu leaned forward slightly, his gaze drifting toward the window. The lights of Los Angeles, or maybe New York, it hardly mattered, pulsed with life. Cars moved like rivers of fire below, but up here, in this quiet space, time slowed. He reached down absent-mindedly, his hand brushing the soft fur of his dog's neck. The dog responded with a faint sigh, a subtle reminder of its contentment, its faith in him. There were no words between them, but none were needed. Keanu had long since learned that silence, when shared with the right presence, could be richer than any conversation. With this dog, silence was not loneliness. It was harmony. It was the quiet heartbeat of companionship. The walls around them were simple, almost bare, but they carried stories. A guitar rested in one corner, a stack of unread books sat on the coffee table, and a single framed photo leaned against the wall rather than hanging. The photo captured a younger version of him, smiling, but tonight he didn't glance at it. His world, at this moment, existed only in the bond at his feet. A soft breeze shifted the curtains, stirring the room. Keanu closed his eyes for a moment, inhaling deeply, grounding himself. The weight of the world outside remained, but here, in the company of his faithful friend, he felt unshakable. The silence wasn't an absence, it was a presence. It was comfort. It was love. And in that stillness, man and dog existed as one. The first light of dawn crept across the horizon, painting the sky in hues of soft gold and pale lavender. A thin veil of mist clung to the earth, hovering over the grass like a dream reluctant to fade. The park was nearly deserted at this hour, the city still half asleep, its noise muted under the hush of morning. It was the kind of silence that carried promise, the beginning of something new. Keanu Reeves moved steadily along the winding path, his long strides unhurried yet purposeful. The rhythmic sound of his footsteps against the gravel blended with the faint rustling of leaves, stirred by a gentle breeze. His breath formed small clouds in the cool air, but there was no strain in his expression. To him, this wasn't just exercise, it was meditation in motion. Each step grounded him, each inhale and exhale a rhythm that anchored him in the present moment. Ahead of him, his dog bounded joyfully, darting through the fog like a shadow come to life. The animal leaped into the tall, dew-damp grass, then back onto the path, pausing occasionally to glance back as if to make sure its master was keeping pace. Its ears perked, tail wagging, eyes sparkling with the kind of pure happiness only dogs know. Keanu couldn't help the faint smile tugging at his lips. This dog wasn't just running, it was dancing with the morning. The sun finally broke the horizon, sending golden beams slicing through the mist. They caught on Keanu's figure, outlining his profile with an almost ethereal glow. His dark hair was damp with sweat, his jaw set but serene. For an instant, he looked less like an actor the world adored and more like a monk in motion. A man seeking peace not in applause or recognition, but in the simple rhythm of running beside a trusted companion. A few early risers crossed his path. An elderly man walking his terrier, a young woman stretching on a bench, a pair of cyclists coasting by. Recognition flickered in their eyes as they realized who he was. Whispers trailed behind him, subtle and respectful. Some smiled, tempted to approach, but something in his demeanor kept them at a distance. It wasn't unkindness. It was presence. He wasn't here for the world. He was here for himself, and for the creature bounding through the mist ahead. The dog stopped abruptly near a small pond, nose twitching at invisible scents, before dashing forward again, kicking up tiny droplets of water as its paws met the wet earth. Keanu slowed, watching with quiet amusement. There was no leash between them, no force binding their paths, just trust. The dog knew its limits. It knew its place was never too far from his side. As the sun climbed higher, the mist began to dissolve, revealing the vibrant greens of the park. Here, with his loyal friend, he was not a star, not a legend, not a face on a movie screen. He was simply a man, breathing, running, living, and with each step, he found a little more peace. The city at night was a different creature altogether. The glow of neon signs gave the streets an almost otherworldly hue, painting alleys in shades of blue and crimson. Somewhere in the distance, music throbbed from an underground club, and the occasional car screeched by. Yet in a forgotten corner of the city, tucked between crumbling brick walls and rusted fire escapes, the world seemed to hold its breath. Keanu stepped into the narrow alley, his footsteps echoing against damp stone. His loyal dog padded beside him, posture stiff, ears raised, alert to every sound. There was tension in the air, a tension the animal felt first. The hairs along its back bristled, and a low growl rumbled in its throat. The dog's eyes darted into the shadows, ready before Keanu even spoke a word. He didn't need to say anything. Their connection went beyond commands. Years of shared silence had created a language of its own. Small gestures, subtle shifts in breathing, an unspoken trust. And right now, the dog was telling him what he already knew. They weren't alone. From the darkness, a figure emerged, half obscured by smoke rising from a nearby vent. It was someone Keanu recognized, not a stranger, but a ghost from another life. The man's face was lined with time, hardened by choices made in alleys like this. His eyes carried something sharper than hatred, unfinished business. "So it's true," the man muttered, his voice heavy with resentment. "Keanu Reeves walking these streets like you're untouchable. Thought you left all this behind." Keanu said nothing. Words would only fan the flames. His silence was deliberate, steady, like the calm before a storm. His hand hovered near his side, not in fear but in readiness. The dog edged forward, planting itself firmly between Keanu and the shadow from his past. Muscles coiled, teeth barely bared, it stood as if carved from stone. No one would come near without going through it first. The man smirked, though unease flickered in his eyes at the sight of the animal's fierce devotion. "Still hiding behind others, huh?" Keanu's gaze sharpened, his calm breaking just enough for his voice to slip through, low and resolute. "I don't hide, not anymore." The alley thickened with silence. The hum of the city seemed distant now, as though the world itself was waiting for the outcome. Keanu took a step forward, and his dog moved in sync, two figures cast in the flickering neon light, man and beast, separate yet indivisible. There was no violence in that moment, no need for it. The power was in their bond, in the unspoken warning that radiated from them. The figure from his past, though armed with anger, understood something deeper. Keanu was no longer alone. And in that hidden corner of the city, it became clear that together, man and dog were unbreakable, ready to face shadows, ready to face anything. The storm arrived without warning. Rain lashed down in sheets, pounding the city until it blurred into a haze of steel and water. Streetlights flickered, their glow distorted through the downpour, casting ghostly halos on the slick pavement. Thunder rolled above like a drumbeat of war, and the wind howled down the alleys, carrying the scent of danger with it. Keanu moved through the storm with deliberate steps, his black coat soaked through, clinging to him like a second skin. Water dripped from his hair, slid across his face, but he didn't falter. His eyes, steady, unwavering, cut through the shadows as though the storm itself bowed to his focus. This wasn't a night for hesitation. Something or someone was waiting for him in the darkness. Beside him, his dog darted like a shadow brought to life, its paws splashing through puddles, its breath sharp and quick. The animal's eyes burned with the same determination as its master. It didn't fear the storm. It didn't fear the fight. Wherever Keanu went, it would go, and if the night demanded blood or sacrifice, it would give both without hesitation. A figure lunged from the dark, the shape barely visible through the curtain of rain. Keanu reacted instantly. His body shifted with the grace of a man trained not only to survive, but to end conflict in an instant. A flash of movement, a strike, a counter, echoed beneath the thunder's roar. His fist connected, sending the assailant sprawling into the shadows. The dog leapt forward, teeth bared, snarling with primal ferocity as another attacker emerged. It collided mid-stride, fearless against the odds, forcing the threat back before they could even reach Keanu. The clash was raw, animal against man, but the loyalty that fueled the dog made it unstoppable. Its bark rang like a battle cry, defiant against the storm. Keanu pressed onward, his movements fluid despite the water weighing him down. The storm raged around them, but he and the dog moved as if bound by a single rhythm. When he struck, it advanced. When he turned, it circled. Every motion was a duet of survival, unspoken choreography born from trust. They weren't just fighting side by side, they were fighting as one. Another shadow lunged, this one wielding steel glinting in the lightning. Keanu caught the blade with his forearm, twisted, and with a sharp motion, disarmed the attacker. The dog surged forward again, snapping with precision, driving the assailant stumbling back into the rain-soaked dark. Minutes stretched like hours until finally, silence fell. Only the rain remained, pouring relentlessly on broken shadows retreating into the night. Keanu stood chest heaving, his fists unclenched slowly. His dog returned to his side, panting, drenched, eyes fixed on him as if awaiting approval. And as the rain fell harder, they walked onward into the night, untouchable, unstoppable. The storm had finally passed. The city outside was still dripping, streets glistening beneath the pale glow of street lamps. But inside Keanu's home, there was only stillness. The weight of the night's struggle was gone, replaced by a heavy calm, the kind that seeps into the bones and softens even the sharpest memories. Keanu sat in front of the fireplace, its flames dancing with life, casting golden light across the room. The crackling wood filled the silence with a steady rhythm, a heartbeat of warmth against the cool hush left behind by the rain. His hair was still damp, his clothes changed into something dry and comfortable, but his eyes carried the trace of exhaustion, a quiet weariness earned by battles fought and survived. Beside him, his dog had curled up, its body pressed against his legs. The animal's fur was still slightly damp, but carried the clean scent of rain and earth. Slowly, it lowered its head onto his lap, the weight both grounding and comforting. Its eyes, once sharp and burning with ferocity in the storm, now closed with complete peace. The gentle rise and fall of its chest matched the fire's rhythm, as if both were part of the same calm, eternal breath. Keanu's hand moved instinctively, fingers brushing through the damp fur. stroking softly along the dog's neck and back. He didn't rush the moment. Each stroke was deliberate, a gesture of gratitude, a silent acknowledgement of everything they had endured together. For a long while, he said nothing, content to listen, to the fire, to the steady breathing, to the silence that wasn't emptiness, but presence. Finally, his voice broke through, low and gentle, almost as if speaking too loudly might shatter the fragile magic of the moment. "You're my only real family." The words lingered in the air, soft but heavy with truth. They weren't said lightly. They carried the weight of his past, the people he had lost, the loneliness he had endured, the constant search for something or someone who wouldn't leave. And here, in the quiet glow of the fire, with the warmth of this loyal creature's trust against him, he knew he had found it. The dog stirred slightly at the sound of his voice, its tail giving the faintest wag, a half-dreamed acknowledgement of the bond they shared. Even in sleep, it understood. Keanu leaned back into the armchair, eyes half closed, letting the firelight flicker across his face. The storm outside had been brutal, but within these walls there was peace, earned, fragile, but real. He smiled, not the smile of a man seen on red carpets or in films, but the quiet, private smile of someone who had found a reason to keep going. The fire crackled louder, sparks leaping and fading into the chimney's dark. Shadows danced across the room, wrapping man and dog in a cocoon of warmth. Time seemed to pause, as if the world outside no longer existed. And in that moment, fire glowing, rain fading, silence embracing them, Keanu and his dog's story was sealed, eternal. Thank you for watching this heartfelt story of Keanu Reeves and his loyal companion. If this touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and inspiring stories. Your support means the world to us.